in anticipata. Alla conferenza stampa saranno presenti due delle attrici protagoniste, cioè Rosèlyn Sanchez e Gamen. Ok, questa serie che lo ricordiamo sta per esordire in Italia il 9 ottobre su Fox Life, la vedrete tutti mercoledì alle ore 21. Oggi abbiamo avuto un assaggio del pilota, poi le altre 12 puntate a seguire ogni mercoledì. Il nostro marito si muove. Okay. Ogni conferenza stampa che si rispetti comincia con una domanda banale. La domanda banale con cui voglio esordire è come siete entrate in questo progetto, come vi siete rimaste coinvolte in questo progetto di Devious Maids.
Non sé, si vuole che sta boca? Sì, no, non escucho nada.
Se l'interprete vuole parlare per prova.
Pero muy bajito.
Ok?
Ok,
ok.
Yes, yes. Yes, I hear you now.
Perfetto. Quello che vi domandavo banalmente è come siete rimaste coinvolte in questo progetto, come siete entrate in questo progetto Devious Maids?
You want me to start? Okay, yo, ¿en inglés o español? English, okay. English? Okay. Let me see. I first heard about it through Eva Longoria. She said to me, Mark Cherry is writing a script, a pilot with 5 Latinas. I want you to be aware because I think there's something for you. And then I read it. They sent it to me, my manager, and I read it and loved it, and immediately was obsessed with the character of Carmen. And then was hoping to get an offer, and I didn't. And it's like, Mark wants you to go in. No, first I said, Mark wrote it for you 8 years younger. So that was like, what? And I just had a baby, and I was like, I just want to go in, and I have to show him that I still look, that I'm still looking young. And then went in, and I met him, and read, and then tested, and ended up getting it.
Eddie?
For me, it was just like any other normal audition. I got an email from my managers, and you know, they said there's gonna be an audition, there's a role of Valentina, and I went in with the casting director, and right away that same day he told me, I want you to come back for the callback this afternoon, are you available? So then I said, of course. And that same afternoon I went to you know, the Disney offices, and I had my callback with Mark Cherry and Paul McGuigan, the director of the pilot. And you know, they gave me some direction, and I did it. And I actually, at the moment, you know, I guess ignorance was a bliss, because I didn't really know who Mark Cherry was. And so I was there auditioning for him, and you know, he's telling me to do this, to do that. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Had I known who Mark Cherry was, I probably would have been really nervous. And so then I left, and I got a call from my managers telling me that they wanted me to test. And I went and I did the screen test, and it went really well, and then I had to test again. I don't know, I think some people like me, some people were not really sure. You know, Sabrina Wing, one of the producers, was like, I really need you to, you know, just let's do your makeup so that you look the way you're gonna look, and then go do it again so they see what I see. So then I went and I did it again, and then I booked it.
Tutte e due avete pronunciato il nome chiave di questa serie, cioè Rosèlyn, che è lo showrunner che è legato indissolubilmente a Desperate Housewives. Com'è stato lavorare con lui? E con lui e anche con questa eredità morale che costituiva Desperate Housewives?
Once we started filming in Atlanta, I watched Desperate Housewives, and I was like, oh my god, I'm working with a genius. Like, holy crap. And it's amazing. He is really, really a great guy. He's really nice, and he's always very involved. He's on the set, he's really picky, he knows what he wants, but what he wants is right. So I'm, just very honored and lucky to be working with him.
With me, it was like 8 years in the making, kind of. I tested for Desperate Housewives against Eva 9 years ago, so he knew who I was. So for the longest time, I really wanted to be able to work for Mark Cherry. So when the opportunity came, it was just incredible, and I knew it was going to be a challenge. Number one, because he is, like Eddie said, incredibly specific about what he wants, and he's an actor himself, and he's an incredible writer, so when he writes a character, he acts it for you. He tells you how he wants it to be done. So it's, as an actor, it's really interesting that you just have to accept that you're working with somebody that is on the top of his game, and he's really good at it, and you have to trust that when he gives you a note, it's for the greater good of your character and the show. So, and we knew that we had a responsibility because Desperate Housewives became such a big phenomenon all over the world. And this was his next attempt, to doing something fantastic and taking the risk of having 5 Latinas as the lead of the show when he's not Latina. So it was a big responsibility for him and for us to be able to nail it and do it amazing, so people would just believe.
And it's funny because I actually have to say this. Mark keeps telling us how throughout shooting Desperate Housewives, if Eva Longoria was like, I don't want to do this scene, it's a love scene, and he would be like, Rosèlyn Sanchez would have done it. Rosèlyn Sanchez would have done this. And then throughout the whole time, it's like...
I didn't know this. We went to dinner with the cast of DEVIOUS Maids, and Eva, because she's a producer, she was part of the lunch, right? And then it was just bizarre when he said that it was just the whole story. I was like, it was too long, it was weird, because we were really, really good friends, me and Eva, I adore her, so it was kind of uncomfortable. And then he said...
You can tell Mark wanted to work with her for all these years.
I know, and then he said, like, every time Eva didn't want to do something, he said, well, Rosèlyn will do it, and I was like, really?
Tra l'altro riguardo a questo, una parentesi personale per Rosèlyn, riguardo a questo c'era già stata un personaggio di Carmen nell'ultimo episodio di Desperate Housewives, la giardiniera Carmen.
Yes.
I fan più affezionati si sono domandati: è lo stesso personaggio che passa alla nuova serie o sono due omonimi ma sono personaggi completamente diversi?
It was funny because when it was the last episode of Desperate Housewives, because Mark knew about my history with Eva, that we're really good friends, they called me saying he wants to surprise Eva, and as a joke, will you just come to set and do this little cameo? Because she's going to laugh when she sees you there, that now her husband is going to cheat on her with the gardener kind of thing. And I was like, of course I'll do it. And then once I go to set, and I'm in the makeup trailer, Eva walks in and she's like, what are you doing here? I'm going, I am just going to be your nemesis, like joking. And then Mark said to me, you know what? You're going to be Carmen from DEVIOUS Maids. And I was like, perfect, let's do that. And it was just a clip of 2 seconds, but people loved it. And everybody was like, that's Carmen from DEVIOUS Maids. It was fun.
Ok. Tra l'altro voi come termine di paragone non avevate soltanto Desperate Housewives, ma anche Ellas son la alegría del hogar, che è la serie messicana da cui di fatto Mark Cherry si è ispirato per questa sua serie. L'avete vista, la serie messicana originale? Vi ha in qualche modo influenzato il vostro lavoro oppure siete partiti solo ed esclusivamente dal lavoro di Mark Cherry?
I didn't know about it until I read DEVIOUS Maids, that it was based on a format of Ellas son la alegría del hogar, and then I went to YouTube, right, and I saw a lot of clips, but it's ¿cómo se dice? Loosely based?
Yeah.
It's like, the concept is the same, but the characters are quite different. And Mark was very vocal when he said it's just an adaptation, and I'm doing my own thing. So it wasn't like every character from that show. It's like Devious Maids. So I just looked at it just as reference, just to see, because it's very successful in Mexico, and I wanted to see what the formula was. And I think it's fantastic. Eugenio Derbez, that you know, the producer, it's beloved in the Latino market, and he's one of the producers. So I just used it as reference, but not a lot.
Yeah, I agree with Ross. It's kind of like just basically the concept, and then Mark Cherry just developed it from there. So it's not really anything that we were, gonna really emulate or.
Did you watch it?
I really only watched like for a little bit, and then I realized, this is very different, and it's not really the same. And it's a very short. Actually, it's a short series. It's not like a regular. In Mexico, the soap operas go for a few months. This one, it was like a shorter one, so I didn't watch the whole thing.
Guardando Devious Maids, guardando la tipologia di recitazione richiesta in Devious Maids, mi sono affiorate le stesse riflessioni che mi capitavano guardando Desperate Housewives, cioè non deve essere facile per un attore girare una serie come questa, perché è un mix di generi molto credibile, nel senso che ci sono gli attori che sono portati per il drama, quelli che sono portati per il comedy, quello che sono portati per il crime. Qui c'è tutto contemporaneamente, il mystery, per cui un attore deve comunque switchare da un registro all'altro in continuazione all'interno della serie, restando comunque credibile. È una difficoltà in più questa, è stata, come l'avete affrontata?
Well, for me, it was kind of like my first time also doing something like this. Everything else I've done before was like, an indie film here, an indie film there, guest star here, guest star there. So for me, it was even like, oh, we switched directors every 2 episodes. Like, for me, it was kind of like a wonderful experience to just, have the opportunity to work with all the different directors that we got to work. And yeah, definitely the character has its challenges. Each character has its challenges, and I think that's just part of what we do, and it's just part of the fun that we have to find out how we're gonna tackle, being able to have some serious moments, and then suddenly, we're talking about cancer, and the next thing you know, you're laughing because of some joke. So it's like you're dealing with serious issues, and then you're laughing. So it's kind of like a thin line, but it's it's the way people like it, it's the way you're entertained, it's the way you're having fun. So even if it's it's got its difficulties, it's just it's part of the challenge, which makes it worth it, and which makes it good TV.
And I think that's what he's really good at. Mark Cherry, once again, it's like his ears are ringing back in the States. We keep talking about him, but I think that's what he's really good at. To be able to mix the drama with the comedy. That's the beauty of doing a dramedy. That like she said, you go from like a super serious scene, and then you go to like heightened reality, which is just ridiculous, and you just laugh. And it's challenging, I think, more than anything, because once again he's so specific about his comedy, and if he gives you a paragraph, it has a punchline, and he lets you know this is the line that people need to laugh. So when you're doing the scene, you're like, okay, I have to deliver this line this way because that's the punchline. So it's been like going back to acting school. It's been really incredible to just embrace that format and understand comedy, because sometimes what is funny to you is not funny to me, But for a writer, when they talk about the punchline, we need to make sure that that punchline is delivered, that everybody across the board is going to laugh. So you're always thinking about how can I make this funny organically, so I don't want to play funny, I just want to be funny. So it's been really, it's like going back to school. It's been incredible.